The map that shouldn't exist. Coastlines centuries too accurate. In an age before satellites, drones, or GPS, maps were more than charts. They were the threads in humanity's expanding tapestry of exploration. Yet, hidden within the parchment and ink of centuries-old maps lies a mystery. Coastlines drawn with uncanny precision, long before modern tools existed. Consider the ancient Mediterranean portolan charts, crafted in the late medieval period, with coastline details so precise that modern GPS would envy them. These nautical maps traced harbors, promontories, and bays with remarkable accuracy, guiding mariners through treacherous seas. Then, there's the Canerio map of 1502, a Jacob's dream of cartography. Spanning Africa and Asia, its latitudes average within half a degree of error, levels of precision that match modern standards, and far beyond what one would expect from the era. Or the Haji Ahmad map of 1559, issued from the Ottoman world, yet depicting the Americas with such clarity that it could be mistaken for a modern rendering. How did a 16th century mind chart shores still hidden from European eyes? These maps challenge our assumptions, yet they're part of a broader paradox. The coastline itself defies certainty. The coastline paradox reminds us that the more detailed our measurement, the longer the coastline appears, because nature's edges are fractal, endlessly intricate. So how did these map makers get it almost right? Did they inherit lost knowledge from seafaring civilizations? Were these edges copied from now forgotten charts? Or was it careful measurement, passed through trade networks and centuries of refinement? Each map, Haji Ahmad's, the Canerios, the portolan charts, stands as a testament to human ingenuity. They point to the possibility that cartographic skill once soared to heights we'd thought unreachable without satellites. Maps are windows into how civilizations saw their world. They reveal ambition, imagination, and often the limits of knowledge. Yet some maps from centuries past do more than that. They seem to break the rules of time itself. They show coastlines drawn with uncanny accuracy, long before satellites, sonar, or even telescopes existed. These are the maps that shouldn't exist, and their very existence forces us to ask, what did the ancients really know about the world? Let's begin in the Mediterranean, where medieval sailors relied on what are known as portolan charts. These nautical maps, appearing in the 13th and 14th centuries, were astonishingly detailed. They traced bays, harbors, and headlands with a precision that modern GPS would respect. Mariners guided their ships across the dangerous seas using these charts, and they worked. But how did these cartographers achieve such accuracy in an age without longitude, without satellites, without even the concept of a prime meridian? To this day, historians debate whether they were compiled from centuries of practical seamanship or copied from even older sources now lost to history. Move forward a little, to the early 1500s, and the mystery deepens. In 1502, the Canerio map appeared. It spanned Africa and Asia with latitude measurements so precise they averaged less than half a degree of error, levels of accuracy rivaling modern instruments. For a map made 500 years ago, it borders on the impossible. Then there is the Haji Ahmad map, drawn in 1559 in the Ottoman Empire. At first glance, it looks like any other Renaissance world map, until you realize it depicts the Americas in startling detail. Its coastlines stretch across the parchment with a clarity suggesting direct knowledge of lands Europeans had barely begun to explore. How could a cartographer in the Ottoman court have drawn with such confidence unless he had access to ancient sources or knowledge traded through networks stretching far beyond what official history tells us? And then we come to perhaps the most famous of them all, the Piri Reis map, created in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral. On it, the coast of South America is drawn with remarkable accuracy. But what has fueled controversy for decades is what lies further south. Some believe the map shows part of Antarctica, 3 centuries before it was officially discovered. Even more striking, the coastline seems free of ice, suggesting knowledge of the continent's pre-glacial form. Skeptics dismiss this as coincidence or misinterpretation, but for others, it is evidence of a forgotten age of exploration, an echo of ancient seafarers who mapped the world long before Columbus or Magellan ever set sail. These maps invite questions we cannot easily answer. Were they the product of meticulous observation, slowly compiled over centuries of sailing and trade? Or do they hint at lost archives, perhaps carried forward from older civilizations erased by time? The possibility unsettles us, because it means history, as we know it, may not be the full story. But the enigma does not end with accuracy. There is another paradox, the coastline paradox itself. The more closely we measure a coastline, the longer it becomes. Zoom in far enough, and the jagged fractal edges of nature resist simplification. This means that any map, no matter how precise, is always an approximation. Yet medieval and early modern cartographers somehow captured coastlines in ways that align eerily well with today's satellite imagery. How? Some argue it was mathematics. Islamic scholars of the medieval world were advancing astronomical calculations centuries ahead of Europe. Chinese mariners built massive fleets, perhaps reaching the Americas before Columbus. Polynesian navigators crossed entire oceans guided only by stars, swells, and memory. Could these traditions, combined, have left behind fragments of knowledge, passed hand to hand, chart to chart, until they surfaced in maps that feel impossibly modern? And, in the end, maps are more than tools. They are stories. Stories inked onto parchment, carrying the ambitions, fears, and brilliance of their makers. The maps that shouldn't exist remind us that human history is full of gaps, and every coastline drawn centuries too early whispers the same haunting truth, that the past still holds secrets, and the world we think we know may only be a fragment of what once was. These coastlines are not just lines. They are echoes of exploration, curiosity, and precision. They remind us that sometimes history's most astounding achievements lie in the margins, where ink meets sea and myth meets the meticulous hand of the map maker.